Welcome into a special edition of Sports Talk with Theo, Dorsey. South Georgia, let's talk sports, more specifically the wildest roller coaster ride to a football state championship I've witnessed from the 2018 Bainbridge Bearcats, who were left for dead when they started off 2-4. Nobody outside of Decatur County had Bainbridge winning that 5A state championship, but nobody outside of Decatur County mattered. The Bainbridge Bearcats took down Warner Robins 47-41 in the 5A title game on December 11th. Ironically, it's the same date that 36 years ago the Bearcats won their first ever championship back in 1982. This year was different though. The city endured a disaster via Hurricane Michael. The team was just one of 9 teams to ever make the GHSA title game after entering the state playoffs without a winning record. Also, they were going up against a region foe that had shut them out 38-zip just a couple months ago. Again, none of that mattered because the resilient Bearcats shocked the state, and now those same resilient Bearcats join Sports Talk to share their journey of ascending to the pinnacle of 5A football. And to head it off, we have the head coach of the Bearcats, Jeff Littleton. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And how's it sound now that people, I'm sure you've done interviews and everything, you've talked to people, you're the state champion, Jeff Littleton, this time as a head coach?
Oh, it's a great feeling, you know, for myself, but I'm just so happy for these kids and our coaches and our community as a whole. Of course.
Well, the moment that made it happen was out there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I want to take a trip down memory lane, if you will, to December 11th when we had 9-5 Bainbridge going against Warner Robins. I want to go through the highlights with you, and you tell me what you saw at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on a night where, who would have guessed it, it'd be the longest ever GHSA state championship game. Bearcats crawling out of the banner, looking ready, and here we are. On the first possession, you guys getting in the backfield, making stops. That was Anthony Brooks. And then with 3 minutes to go, a block punt. Now, one thing I noticed, you guys were contesting each of the first 2 or 3 punts. You contested really well. This one you block in the first quarter. Brooks picks it up and scores. What were you doing on those punt rushes?
Yeah, we felt like we could get some pressure on their punt team, and we were hoping to block one. We knew we could pressure some bad situations, but they kicked it there into their wall, so and Anthony was there to scoop and score.
Very nice. Very next snap from Warner Robins. Dylan Fromm, interception. Bryce Worthy the other way for 6. What was the defense? What was working so early on in that game from the defense?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much had the same game plans we had the first game that we played. We did have a couple of coverage changes, and that was one of them there with Bryce dropping back there and getting the pick 6.
Boom, and in there it always helps for them to have a faux pas. There goes a fumble. You guys recover it. You're already up 14-zip in the span of seconds. And now, Caleb McDowell, halfback pass. How much guts does it take to draw up a play and then that throw in the double coverage? Would you have recommended that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. This is a play that we've pretty much worked on all year, and you just have to have the right situations to run these plays. We were inside the 40-yard line here, and it's a play that Caleb, number 5 there, is made many times in practice, and 7 made a great catch over 2 defenders.
That's right, Spivey, and here he is again making another catch, this time from Quade Hopkins, getting into the red zone and setting up Caleb McDowell for a touchdown. Quade had, Spivey had 83 yards receiving. McDowell had a great game. The offense clicking well. You guys up 28-zip at this point. And then that's when Warner Robins started to chip away at the lead. Here goes Jalen Rutherford. First we got to celebrate a little bit of the lead. So you get up to a 28-zip lead here, and what are you thinking as a head coach? How do you keep them focused?
No, I mean, we've got to keep doing what we did the first quarter and a half, you know, and we went into halftime and we talked about being focused and finishing, and you know, and our kids came out hot there, and we got the pick 6, go up 35-7, and then, you know, Warner Robins is a great football team. They started making big plays. We made a few mistakes, you know, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there tied, you know, at the end of regulation.
Definitely, and that's what kind of you're seeing happen right now. Dylan Fromm over the top, a touchdown. Strike right there in the red zone, and then again in the red zone. Rutherford punches his way in. They just chipped away little by little, and little do you know, you get to the 4th quarter here, they're down by 14 points. The trick play, Tyler Fromm to Dylan Fromm, and he makes a move, gets into the end zone. Now it's a 1-possession game with 8 minutes to go.
Right.
And then they're going to end up tying it up in a few. Now, as a head coach, as this kind of happens and the other crowd starts to get into it, what you see in your team that kept them in the game?
Well, I mean, they kept fighting. Even though Warner Robins was making big plays, our defense kept fighting, and our offense kept trying to move the football to keep it away from them, and some things didn't work out there in the fourth quarter. And like I said, they're a great football team, and they battled back. But the thing is we kept our composure, and we kept fighting and waited for our chance.
How much angst did you have with this 27-yard? Here it is with 6 seconds to go. Warner Robins about to attempt a 27-yard game-winning field goal, blocked by Roman Harrison. What was that feeling like before and after that play?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, no doubt. But I felt really, really good about our defense, our field goal block team, getting pressure. Roman, we really hadn't shown pressure from the middle the whole year, and Warner Robins hadn't seen that. And Roman just made a great play in the middle.
Speaking of a great play, Hawkins, I keep saying Hopkins. Hawkins faked me out on that one. That was the game-winning touchdown because right here in double coverage on 4th and goal, Warner Robins failed to convert and the storming of the field. 47-41, you guys won in triple overtime, and it was again on December 11th, 36 years removed from your first ever state championship. Now, you've held the mantle as a state champion a couple times, not as a head coach. How much different is it, or what's the different perspective doing it as a head coach with a headset on?
Just the rewarding of everyone involved. A lot of people want to divert the attention towards the head coach a lot of times, and it's not about that. It's about the entire team, But it's really rewarding to see everybody, celebrate and the whole community come together.
I want to take a quick look at some of the stats that stood out in the box score after that game. You guys were outgained 367 to 183. You won the turnover edge by a turnover. It actually was a fumble. Third down conversions didn't match up as well there, but the big deal for you guys was the 2 or 3 defensive touchdowns / special teams touchdowns where you got scores out of plays that didn't really maybe accumulate to total yards or whatnot like that. So for you, what do you think was the biggest thing or the biggest takeaway from this game that you felt you guys did well that separated you guys from the Demons?
Well, this is kind of how we've been living all year on our defense and our special teams play. And, we made some big plays in that area, and that's how we felt like we could erase those 38 points that they beat us the first game. Play well defensively and play well on the special teams and then move the ball and make big plays on offense.
Now, out of the teams, we did a lot of previews. You guys seemed more confident maybe or as confident as any other team in the week leading up to the state championship game. What did you see in the eyes of your players in the practices as maybe even in that send-off that you felt, oh, they're ready to come back, they're ready to avenge that loss and be crowned state champs?
That's the search for respect was, in our minds the entire time. And our kids and our coaches were just determined to win the football game and to be state champions.
Definitely so, and that's what it would end up happening. I want to take a quick glance at what you guys did on that 7-game win streak that you're still riding right now that you'll take into next year. It started on October 26th with the win over Harris County, 49-zip. Then you got another region win over Thomas County Central, 44-11. That helps you clinch the 2 seed in the playoffs, which helps because you play Jones County at home. 40-13, your third straight blowout. The confidence has to be building up here, and then you got to take it on the road for the rest of the playoffs. You edge out Wayne County on the road, 26-19, a 1-possession game. Another road game against Beaufort. So many people had you guys losing, had you guys counted out. You edged them out by 3 points on the road, and what I heard was the stormiest game anybody had seen or played in. You go to Stockbridge the next week on the road, a miraculous kick return where you get a lateral. It was clogged up. It was amazing. 20-19, you win that game. Then you come into the state championship where you had lost by 38. You were heavily the underdogs, and you guys did it. Can you at least tell me what you told them in the locker room after the game and kind of how proud you felt of that team after that run that they just put together? Again,
earning their respect. It's something that we had talked about all year long, and our kids went out and they earned the respect of everybody in the state, I feel.
Where do you think people are going to gauge you guys up for next season?
Always you're going to have high expectations. We expect to compete and have a chance to win every game in the fourth quarter, and that's what we're always going to search for.
Were those players that did come out and show up and showed out at Mercedes-Benz Stadium to make the state take notice? We have a couple of them coming up to join the show, so you're going to want to stay tuned. We'll talk to the guys that made it happen on the field. Welcome back into Sports Talk with Theo, Dorsey. We're celebrating the 2018 5A state champions from Bainbridge. We have right here Randy Fillingham. We have Bo and Dotson. Give me a handshake, guys. Congratulations again on a great season. Fillingham, a linebacker. Dotson plays a little tight end, a little fullback.
Yes, sir.
All over. Wherever they need you guys, you'll line up and play. And the first thing I got to ask you is, and we'll start with Dotson. What was the first thing you did after you got back in celebration of what you've been training all year, playing hard all season long? What was the first thing you did to celebrate that championship?
You talking about like when I got home?
When you got home.
I actually went deer hunting the following morning.
Ooh, okay. You get any good ones? Or?
No, sir, I did not.
Man, well, you got a ring, though. You got a ring.
Yes, sir.
On
I
the
did
way.
get a ring.
Randy, what you got?
Well, I just went home and celebrated with my family and enjoyed and tried to enjoy the moment.
That's big. That's big. It's good to be with family after a big moment like that. Now, my question for you guys, I know so many people have asked you, and you've already given the coach speak, if you will, about belief and all of that stuff. But Warner Robins had just beat you guys 38-0 in the regular season. You turn it around, and you guys not only beat them, but you came out of the gates and you opened up fire. You were up 28-0, 35-7 at one point. Where was the belief, the confidence was there, but the what changed when you guys got there to Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
I think just the ability to block out the distractions like we've been doing all playoffs, state playoffs. I feel like that we gained confidence through practice, and as long as we kept our heads up, everything was going to be all right.
We kept getting better the whole season, and we were confident we were going to win that football game. We really was, and we got better as a team, and we played. We played as brothers. We played for each other, and that's all. That's what it comes to, playing in a high caliber game like that.
Of course. Now, was there any point in the season that you guys did? I mean, you start off 2-4, you enter the postseason 5-5. At what point did you feel like the team really did turn it around? I don't want to talk about the negative stuff anymore. I want to talk about the positives of you guys feeling like, you know what, we may have this. We got a team here that can make some dots connect and go and maybe win a state championship.
It hadn't been done in a long time, and we had some big shoes to fill. We knew that, and after we got up there on that stage and holding up the trophy and everything, it's crazy. It's an amazing feeling, and it's different. You don't get to experience stuff like that all the time.
I feel like that, there wasn't a certain game or a certain point throughout the year that brought us together, except for after the hurricane. Coming through, seeing the community, come together. Football players making it to practice on time, trying to catch rides and come together as brothers. That's when I really feel like we, turned everything around.
Now, how did, and you can each answer this, how did Hurricane Michael affect yourself and your family personally? Obviously it's amidst the football season. You had to play Warner Robins that following game, but how did it affect you, and how are you guys able to kind of bounce back from that tragedy that happened?
It's just devastating for the whole community. I mean, South Georgia, you don't see hurricanes a whole lot, and when you have something like that come through your community and just ruin businesses, and you see other people around you that don't have homes and holes in their roof. I know, tarps on people's roofs, and it's just different. It's discouraging.
Yeah, me and Bo are neighbors, so I mean, we were out of power for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
it was tough.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough situation. And what did the coaching staff and the school and maybe even the surrounding community, not only as citizens and residents, but what did they do for you guys as a football team to make sure you guys had what you needed to not only just get back to regular life, but to be able to go out there and play at a high level?
They just made sure we kept a positive attitude, and, just check on everybody, make sure everybody's okay. Text your friends that ain't at practice and teammates that aren't at practice, and it's just you got to keep a positive mindset and keep playing for the person beside you.
Right.
Yeah, that, and just coming to practice, and working hard and moving on, and also feeding us after practice. That was a big thing that really helped out.
Oh yeah, always good to get some food. Always good to get some food. My last question, because I've never gotten a chance to do it, nor will I ever. What was it like actually getting to play? Now that it's all over with, getting to play on Mercedes-Benz Stadium with the Falcons and the UGA Dogs playing everything like that?
It's definitely different. I mean, you walk in there and you look up and it's tall ceilings, and you think, man, there's a lot of great players that played on this football field, and I'm about to play on it, so I must have done something right.
I felt like a blessed man. Most people don't get that opportunity to play at state championship level, and to be there with my brothers, all the, the hurricane we've been through, being 2-4, coming there, it was just unbelievable.
Great stuff. Well, Dawson,
Yes,
Feeling
sir.
Game, thank you so much. Both of these guys, seniors, both of these guys have excellent futures ahead of them. We'll be on watch to see what's next for you guys. Right after the break, we're going to bring in Chip Ariel, who's going to be able to put more perspective to this championship run right after the break. Thanks. Welcome back into Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey. I'm now joined by Chip Ariel, who knows more about Bainbridge Bearcats than one can bear. You see what I did there?
Oh, that was good.
But he's been keeping me abreast with everything with the team as a statistician and much more for the area. And I wanted to kind of go back first to 1982, December 11th. That was the last time and the first time Bainbridge had won a state championship game. Can you compare those two? They happened on the same date. They have their similarities and struggle, but also different storylines. Can you compare those two state titles?
Sure. The first state title that they won in '82 was built over a period of 3 years. Coach Hightower, who had been at Americus and won several state titles there, had come in and revitalized everything, but we had some issues that happened that we had a small squad, and a lot of the sophomores on that team had to play a lot, and we took our struggles and went 1-9. The next year went 5-5 and lost, ironically, to Westover to keep us from getting in the playoffs the next year. And then the following year was the state championship year, and they had to play Mitchell Baker twice, which had a fantastic team. James Jackson, who went on to play quarterback at Georgia, was on that team, and it was a big struggle to get through them. And then Americus, 3 overtimes at Americus.
Whoa.
And so ended up going and playing in Gainesville, and it was wet and rainy and sloppy and you name it, but they overcame and won 7-6 on that field on December 11th, 1982.
Impressive, and the irony of it as well is Atlanta United pushes it back to make it that same date and whatnot. And then from you, you were there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium watching from overhead. What did you see? I know you got some nerves going up there. You want them to win. What did you see up there, and how proud were you when you saw them walk off the field champions?
Well, I was proud of these young men and the coaching staff. A lot of these young men I had a chance to work with when they were in middle school, and to see them develop and see the coaches, how they've made them even better players, was fantastic. And but up in the booth, we had our issues, and I was very excited for the coaching staff from a standpoint of they were grassroots. And people say, what's grassroots? The headsets didn't want to work right that night.
Yeah.
Neither did the video. So the coaches were coaching on the field.
Oh, so they were, yeah.
So they were coaching,
Yeah.
and they did a fantastic job with the young men and the boys. Well, I say boys. The young men did a great job on the field. And yes, we were excited upstairs and cheering them on and making sure that we did whatever we could. Of course, we were big cheerleaders up there, I got to say.
Of course, you got to be. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on for this. We're going to have Coach Littleton come back to talk a little bit about the Bainbridge program moving forward after the break. Welcome back to Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey. Here with Jeff Littleton, head coach of the Bainbridge Bearcat. He has triple crown of state champions. He has one as an assistant, one as a player, and now one as the head coach for the 2018 football team of the Bearcats. And one of the guys that wasn't able to make it tonight on the recording was Roman Harrison, who, for good reason, he had to sign his letter of intent to the University of Tennessee. Now, he's the defensive end that had a great career in the purple and gold. He had 37 career games with Bainbridge, 196 total tackles, 21 sacks, 51 for a loss, and of course he had that big field goal block in the game. Can you talk about what it was like to be able to coach up a young man like that?
I mean, I coached him for 4 years, and I've watched him grow as a person and a student and an athlete, and it's been a pleasure coaching that young man.
Of course, and he's obviously not the only senior you'll be losing. You're losing about 20 seniors or so. What does the future of the Bainbridge program look like, and what can we expect from the 2019 team? Are we talking, I know you don't want to just talk repeat, but what are we expecting from the Bearcats?
Oh, the cupboard's not bare. We have a lot of skilled kids coming back, and a lot of young players that are very competitive, and and this senior class that's leaving is just a great class, and in fact they've won more games than any class in Bainbridge history, and over their 4-year careers. So we're definitely going to miss them, but we have some really good players, and what they've set forth, you know, there's a lot to hold up to now. You know, there's a big standard there.
Definitely so. You heard it here first. Repeat. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time on Sports Talk.
Nice one.